Hey, what's up guys, Mashine here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about what's going on in the CSGO market. We're seeing a lot of skins coming down pretty hard in value over the past month, losing up to 10 to 30% of their value for some of them, which is very significant. Before we hop on into it, only a small percentage of you guys who watch the videos are actually subscribed. Discord's the top link in the description. Let's hop on into it. So when I say skins are going down, what kind of skins am I really talking about here? Well, I'm talking about all the skins that are really in that $5 to $25 range. We got like the Neon Revolution went from an average of about 22.5 bucks. Now it's below 20. I mean, we got the AK Asimov going from 36 down to 32, and that's one of the more mild ones, only losing about 10%. But then we got skins like the USB Cortex going from around 420, 430. Now it's below 360. I mean, it's seeing a significant decrease, and I've got a couple factors I want to talk about for why this might be happening. First up here, I feel like it's the most obvious, and that's just a decline in player base. What we're seeing right now is CSGO has been in a slight decline ever since they banned that a large amount of people from getting Prime status for free. I say banned because these people now have to pay for it, when before you could get it for free. Plus, that pretty much puts the hackers and a lot of the people who, you know, we don't want them in the game, but they still do make up a part of the player base. So we're going to see the player base decline if we're going to see a lot less hackers and people like that in our games. Overall though, for this, I think it's a really good move that they banned everyone, or pretty much didn't allow people to get Prime status for free anymore. Prime status didn't mean too much if you could just get it for free in a span of a couple months or even a couple weeks if you grind out the game super hard. But I think it's just really hard coming from an investment standpoint to look at the decline in player base. I mean, in the last 30 days, we're down almost 10% of the player base, and the peak players are down almost 100,000, and the average player is down around 60,000. So it's really hard looking at that and still wanting to be passionate about investing. Now, I'm personally not too worried because I think this is more of a short-term fall, which is going to help the game overall long-term kind of succeed, because there's going to be a lot more people who are willing to stick around if they know the cheater problem A is being worked on and B is currently being like resolved. I mean, this is a huge problem CSGO has had forever, and with a lot of people now seeing that Valve is taking action against it after years and years of them doing nothing, I think this is really good for the game. Next up here, we really haven't had much for game updates lately. I mean, we had the Operation, which hooked in a ton of people, but that's really not going to be keeping a lot of these newer players sticking around. I mean, yes, they like the game, and the Operation was really fun while it lasted, but there's a lot of people. I mean, the current state of the world hooked in a lot of people to play CSGO, and all we've seen since is like one Operation. It's not really helping out too many people, and I think that's going to just overall hurt the game if we don't see a big game update very soon. But I feel like that's probably not going to happen until we start getting into the November, October area, because Valve has kind of put this precedent out there that we may potentially be receiving yearly updates or yearly operations or something big around the end of the calendar year. Next up, this kind of goes with what I was just saying, and that is the market was inflated. We had a pretty big inflation going on in the market just because the player base has been growing so well and it's been going so great that a lot of skins were at all-time highs, and this is something that's not too scary for me, seeing a price drop of, I mean, the price drop is pretty scary, up to 30% with some skins, 20-30%. But I feel like overall I'm not too worried because the prices are dropping, because it was so ready to burst. I mean, these prices were up at pretty high, and it's just unfortunate that it had to happen now, right when we're starting to close in on the summer sale, but it also could bring up a really good time to buy, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. Lastly then, for the reason why it's slightly dropping in my eyes, I feel like this one is kind of a little bit out there, but I feel like it's because there's more people investing. Now, this is something we're kind of seeing, is that a lot of people are starting to invest into CSGO, and this is really good for case investing and all that, but when it comes to skins and skins that aren't really known for being investment skins, it kind of leads them to drop a little bit in price. Most people don't have a ton of excess money that they can just spend on a game to invest, so what happens is they end up selling off their skins so they can fund some of their investments, which is really good when you're looking at the investment world. I mean, investments are up pretty significantly right now. We're starting to see a small fallback overall in the market, but that's not too worrying. It's more of a correction, if anything, especially for some of those non-prime cases. But besides that, a lot of these skins are still just receiving a small fallback, but I believe that could partially be equated to a lot of people starting to invest into cases. Going along with that, it also could be just people trying to get their money out of CSGO. It's very common for a lot of people to end up leaving CSGO at some point. It's a game that people start to either stick around for a long time or they get really bored after a year because they seem really repetitive, and I can understand that. There's a lot of things in the game that are just small improvements you have to make, and if you don't want to put in tons of time, it can seem like a really reasonable option just to sell everything and move on. So I feel like this is also pretty common as we're seeing a lot of people moving on. A lot of people who were affected worldwide by this disease going around are starting to get out of CSGO as things are going back to normal. I mean, here in the USA, we've pretty much got a lot of the percentage of the population vaccinated, and I could potentially see a lot of the people just kind of being done with CSGO. It was fun while it lasted, but it's time to move on with their life. Overall, moving forward, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens as we approach the summer sale here. Usually during the summer sale, we'll see prices of skins drop, and especially the range we're looking at, like $5 to $20 is the range that's affected majorly. So it's going to be really interesting if these skins continue to drop towards then. Are we going to see a pretty massive drop then, or are they just going to kind of decline and just kind of level out at that certain point we're getting to? Because I feel like it could go either way at this point. I mean, there's just a lot of potential for these skins to continue dropping, but I could also see them just start to level out and not even be affected too much by the summer sale, just because they've been affected so much recently. I mean, almost every skin you look at's been down in the past month, and I think it's very interesting that we are just starting to see this now as we're starting to approach the summer sale. I say that's the only thing that really makes me nervous, is as we're approaching the summer sale here, if we start to see an even bigger decline, I think that could be really bad for the market, as it could push a lot of people into a lot of territory they haven't been in, where they get really scared that their skins and all of their CSGO inventory is losing a significant amount of its value. So I feel like they could potentially start quick selling, and that could send the market into a really bad spiral. Because I feel like right now we're starting to see a little bit of a differentiation where the higher tier items are going to continue to go up, while the skins that are in the 5 to 20 range are just going to start slowly sinking for now. I mean, China's taken a big interest in all of these high tier skins, but the middle tier skins that we usually buy to play around with haven't been seeing too much growth in the past month, and I feel like the summer sale could really set it off into some pretty bad territory. But that's really all I have for today, guys. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys have not checked out my Minecraft channel, it will be in the description. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.